Hello, one and all. Welcome to Various Fields. I am Trey.
I'm Hazen Fields II.
I'm Lex.
And this is, as we said before, Various Fields, where we talk about a little bit of everything and a lot of bit of nothing.
Yeah.
Happy holidays to one and all. This is probably our second recording regarding the holidays. I think we did one where it was just a full culmination of the holiday
Every
spirit.
holiday ever.
Every day all at once. And now, just to, I guess, bring in more of that holiday field, we're also going to bring in a lot of what is near and dear to our heart, which is Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes, yes.
So happy.
Just a little bit about us. We were raised very much on the Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig. All of them have basically brought us into adulthood. Thanks to our dear old father.
More than welcome.
That's good, Rich.
My heritage, my legacy.
So, I, as they are, going through various iterations over the years, it was kind of interesting to speak about their character, their history, and there's things that are little factoids that I find interesting as well. If you guys want to speak upon your relations to all of them, by all means.
I am so happy to do this episode because I can talk about Looney Tunes forever. Because it's like, there's two things that's funny about Looney Tunes. It's one, it's just very good comedy, very funny, all that kind of stuff. But also, I think if you don't know what cartoons are, I think it's kind of like that idea of animation is kind of the first thing that people think of when they think of cartoons, usually. Usually if you watch a movie or something and they have like a character that has like a fake cartoon in the background, it's usually either Looney Tunes or Looney Tune-esque, And I remember a while ago, and something that I liked about Looney Tunes is like Looney Tunes fits in this category. Mel Brooks's kind of movie directorial style fits in this category. The Monty Python kind of fits in, but I feel like there's a certain level of comedy that's not seen as much anymore. I remember a while ago I was at a farmer's market kind of thing, and I made a Bugs Bunny joke, like a Bugs Bunny reference, and there are two people who had no idea what I was talking about. And I first thought was like, what? They didn't get that? And I'm like, Looney Tunes is even old for me, so it makes sense that no one else gets it. But it's so sad because it's just I miss it. People don't watch Looney Tunes, and it shows.
Right. Well, one of the things for me in this conversation when we were first talking about it, there's an overarching kind of subject matter, which to me, and you hear me talk about it a lot, cultural conditioning. We're going to talk about, Looney Tunes / Merry Melodies and those things, which are all a part of the Warner Brothers
IP?
I should say intellectual property, as well as how at the time they echoed what was happening in pop culture.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what was going on at that time, what was, I think that in most recent cartoons, until they've changed it, they stayed away from pop culture. I can only imagine maybe copyright laws and things of that nature.
Right, not as much.
At the time when Warner Brothers and Looney Tunes Merry Melodies were doing stuff, they would actually do depictions of artists and people of the day, songs that were current, they would sing. So all that thing, I think it comes into play to how we view our culture in general. And they played a part of shaping our society in some form.
True. It was a satirical comedy.
Yeah, I kind of like that too, because I think there was actually a class that we actually took together back in college, Hudson Valley years, where there was a teacher that said, I think culture begets culture. As we develop as we put more out into it, right, there's more of it that is, taken into the whole zeitgeist, and that kind of helps develop it even more so and evolve it. But I like the fact that, as you said, is a satirical kind of commentary of what you call Looney Tunes, kind of playing off of what is already pop culture. So you definitely see back in the 30s and the 50s and the 70s, you see them talking about crooners and comedians of the time. And even as we evolve into the modern day, I think the 09s to the 16s, they even touch upon what makes them relevant, what makes them more prevalent, right? And kind of appealing to kids, Looney Tune Babies, Tiny Toon Adventures, Lunatics Unleashed, right? How they just eventually just evolve, right, to kind of stay relevant. And they're always going going to be because they're pop icons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think anyone will ever truly get rid of Bugs Bunny, right? But funny thing enough, right? The one thing that I'll like doing a little research on this, I realized that Bugs Bunny was not even the first of the Looney Tunes,
Right.
All right, it was actually like in terms of like a whole anthropomorphic gang, Porky Pig was, right? And then came Daffy Duck, and then came Bugs Bunny, you know,
Interesting.
and then there was obviously cartoons that were before Porky Pig, but like I always found it interesting that how like eventually just through popularity alone, right, Bugs Bunny became like the main star, the main face of Looney Tunes whenever you see it, right? That iconic "What's up, Doc" wasn't like known until at least the 45s, 50s, something like that.
We weren't, just as a quick thing, it's funny, we didn't plan this completely, but there's also a Looney Tunes movie coming out soon.
Is that real?
Yeah, and I think it's specifically Daffy Duck and Porky Pig.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure it's When the World Blew Up or something like that is the name of it. It's a yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can look it up. I'll find it real quick, but there's a Looney Tunes movie coming out soon. It may have just came out. But
Well, why don't we just start from the beginning and you know, because we're talking about something that was produced way back in like the 1930s, the 40s, stuff like that. And there may be people watching right now who have no ideas. They might hear us saying Looney Tunes, and they might be thinking that we're just
Talking about ourselves.
Yeah.
so true.
Actually, you're right, because even sometimes people will say, "Yeah, that person's Looney Tunes," and it has its origin. So, what do you guys know of the origins of this thing? Because I can tell you what I'll give you a little bit of see. We think of, when you guys think of Looney Tunes, your mind immediately goes to television. But before television, these started off in the movies as shorts. They started off like that, and so they were, people didn't have televisions.
You're right.
At one point, but they would be shown in the movies.
You mean the Nickelodeons back in the day, right?
Well, I don't. Yeah, that's see, a Nickelodeon. I think isn't a Nickelodeon the thing that you just.
I thought it was always a movie. I might be wrong. I could be wrong. I could have sworn it was a movie that you would actually gain admittance to for a nickel.
Oh, well, see, I think that's something different. I think the price of a movie might have been a nickel at one point. And it could be, but I think, but we're going to check into it. A Nickelodeon, I think, was an actual device where you would put your eyes in and spin. This is now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm only 61. This is way before my time. I don't want you to think that I've actually operated.
It transcends time itself.
But it's just, things like that. So someone look at what
I was going to say, quick Google search, I think Trey is correct. It says a movie theater with admission fee of $1.
Okay.
It's just saying historical. I'll see if I can find
what a Nickelodeon is. Okay.
The camera you're talking about, I know. I just didn't know it to be known
Let me see. What is a Nickelodeon? Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing this live.
Live.
All right, we're going to find out right now, but we'll look into it a little bit more. But
and in the meantime, while we're looking up something live, if you want to see us live, please get us to 500 subscribers, where we will eventually go live. And while we're doing so, please give us a like, subscribe, and hit all those buttons.
All those buttons. Yeah, we really would like to be able to speak to you live. And your comments, honestly, the algorithm, it helps to spread it out, your subscriptions, and really does help us out. And we want to thank you for getting us to our 110 subscribers as we speak right now.
We didn't think we'd make it this far.
And hopefully we'll be able to get more people on here because of help from you. So,
viewers like you.
Viewers like you. So let's go on. So we, as we look into find out exactly what Nickelodeon, because I believe I maybe I'm calling it different.
It's a film camera. You're recording a couple.
But it used to be a thing you could pay and actually see.
Well, Google says Nickelodeon Pearl Nickelodeons dated informal, a jukebox originally opened to operate the insertion of a nickel coin, and a movie theater with admission free for $1.
All right. So we do maybe it's
a little bit of both. A happy end on both sides.
But in any case, so these things would be shown in the movies, and you see these cartoons. And can you imagine? Think about it. You're only used to seeing human beings in like what they used to say the silent films.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see what's this new thing, animation.
The origin of furries is very funny.
Oh my God.
The first anthropomorphic
Well, you see, now that's interesting. I know you guys are going somewhere, but
Well, that's a topic for another day.
That's a
We'll
topic.
talk about
okay.
Audience, please like, subscribe, and comment if you want to hear about furries. Or introduce my dad
That
to
is
that
a
community.
different type
I
of
can
rabbit
see-
hole. We're sticking with Bugs Bunny.
Oh, see, now I'm familiar-ish, but that seems to be going to let. But let's go on. So they were in the movies. I also
Definitely took a
at
wrong
the
turn in
time-
Albuquerque.
I
That
was gonna
one.
make the same.
Oh, Lord.
It was right there.
And also during World War II, World War II, the some of the cartoons were utilized to do some propaganda.
Correct.
And we don't talk about it too much because sometimes the cartoons of old, they would get a bit dark or blue.
Speaking of that, I actually literally just had I'm not sure what to call it, embarrassing, but like funny moment with that because recently I was just with a group and they did like a cartoon day. So there was like went through. There was someone was like hosting like kind of like a public event. So I was like, please come in. Finally, we'll play your favorite cartoons, whether it's old, new, whatever. And of course, because it's cartoons, a lot of kids are there and things like that. So like you little younger, so I'm like, what's very fun? Looney Tunes. Let's play Looney Tunes. And I didn't know what episode. Just like give them Looney Tunes. Let's play it randomly. It was on Amazon, and they played a Looney Tunes episode. And one of the first ones was Daffy Duck fighting Hitler, essentially. And I was like, I'm not sure. Like, and it's just like I forgot Looney Tunes can go there now.
Yeah.
So now there's just a whole bunch of kids just seeing a cartoon depiction.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, we could move on to the funnier stuff.
Yeah. And it's interesting. That's a part of our
What happened?
When you see Tweety Bird screaming, "Watch out!" for the sake of an air raid warning.
Yeah.
Right. Both like a great deal of them. Porky Pig, Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, all imitated Hitler at one point in time for comical purposes. Right. So yeah, it's very much satirical. Right. But I guess it's because of what brought. It was what was culturally relevant at that time.
Topical.
It was topical, right? Topical comedy, everyone.
Yeah, at the time, and actually they would get political, which was interesting. They would poke fun at things because what was it, what was one of the lines? This ain't William Wilkie or something like that. There was a political figure that would actually say his name. Book drop.
Token book, though.
Nice.
But they would talk about topical things at the time, and we don't see that happening much now.
At least not with, I would say, like your basic cartoons. Like, I feel like Family Guy, American Dad, maybe they do it a lot. But I feel like that's been labeled and made to be quote unquote adult humor,
right?
But not like your average cartoon doesn't do it as much anymore. Which is interesting. I will say, I just saw something else real quick. With Fairly Odd Parents has a new series. I'm not sure if you remember.
A brand new wish or something like that.
There's a brand new Fairly Odd Parents series that came out, and they did make an actually very funny Obama reference on that.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes, they did.
All right, very good.
It's pretty good.
That's good. Yeah. So what about Looney Tunes? What attracted you to your version of? What did you garner from it that you like so much?
So I think, like you said, you raised us / grew up. We grew up on it. So I think whatever comedy you had was like reflected in that. So like, I think this was something that we were familiar with. So kind of like us learning our own secret language a little bit.
Yeah. I got
There's
you.
that. And then there's just like the general idea of Bugs Bunny specifically, but Bugs Bunny's kind of sarcasm and like all that kind of stuff. And then it's just like, I'm making it sound like super deep, but it's really just like, a lot of pratfall comedy. Like it's really just every once in a while, Fudd gets banged on the head with a pot or something. Like, like that's just
running through a log 3 times to realize that you're still above the air without nothing underneath you. So.
But like weirdly enough, I think I sometimes appreciate even more like that kind of silly humor because I think one of the funniest Bugs Bunny episodes is Yosemite Sam. I think Bugs Bunny's performing in it, and he's about to do like a one of those classic dive off like
a high dive.
High dive.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
And the whole episode is just Bugs Bunny doing a high dive. Yosemite Sam trying to upstage him, and he just keeps getting tricked into falling into different. I mean, like for 15 minutes, it's the same bit, but it just keeps. And I don't know why it's so funny.
Yeah. I think the character he was the fearless freak. Comes to mind.
Yeah.
And that was but it was a great little episode, And so what I'm hearing from the guys here, if I may, there's a bit of family nostalgia.
Absolutely.
There's something. They say that there are certain things that bring you back things to your memory. I hear that they're like if you open up a canister of Play-Doh. That people like, it's a specific smell. It's a specific smell of a particular time. You know, it brings you back to kindergarten or whatever, or it opens up things in your mind. And I would imagine hearing. So that's right. How to Raise Your Children by Hazen Fields II. Cartoons are a must.
It's most of my personality.
but go on. Let's
But yeah, like I was. Along with that, I loved Tasmanian Devil. I think he's the one that stuck out to me the most. Well, not because he was any distinct line that he had. Right, there was no profound.
None of his writing did it for you.
No. I think it was just the fact that he was span fast. He knew what he wanted. He just ran out and grabbed it.
He knew what he wanted.
He was ambitious. He took it by the horns. But
and listen, let's give a shout out. Let's give a shout out to the man of a billion voices, Mr. Mel Blanc. He actually started off in old radio, and I believe it was at the time people like oh my gosh, Jack Benny. Jack Benny. He did the original sounds of Jack Benny's Model T car. So you would hear. And all that stuff. That the sound of the car going. I'm not do it justice.
No, you did. You did a great job.
Pretty good.
Very good.
Yeah, but it was. I forget the name of the car. But anyway, but a lot of the voices. Also, that was another thing. From the transition from radio to the movies, and then finally to TV, what they did, they took some of the bits that were happening in radio at the time.
Right.
There was an old radio show called Fibber McGee and Molly.
Fibber McGee.
And Molly. So you would hear, you guys might know this phrase, Taint Funny McGee.
Taint Funny McGee.
Taint Funny McGee came from an old radio show called Fibber and Molly. And the same,
Gotcha.
And from that same radio program, there used to be a character that would go, love that man.
I remember that one.
And so what we would see that in the cartoon, but they were taking things from radio and bringing it into an animated thing.
Doing their references.
Right. Absolutely. So, but imagine you never saw these people.
Right. So your first depiction.
So depicting another was the from another character. I think it was again from Fibber McGee and Molly, where we would hear in the cartoons that "Taint, that's not the way I heard it." We talk about old man. That's not the way I heard it. But there was a character that would be a recurring character.
Right.
So they brought it all to life.
You know what you reminded me of? And it's a slight deviation from Looney Tunes because I think Tom and Jerry was like a cartoon franchise of its own making, right? But the one who was kind of like in both products was Tex Avery, and I actually very much liked him as an animator. But the one that voiced you reminded me of was Jerry's his grandpa, right? When he actually took the guitar strings from from Tom's whiskers every time. It was like playing Rambo or
Crumble. Yeah.
They're going to call it he then.
Thank you for coming into our living room. We're actually inviting you here to the Fields household. Where we're kind of recording some of the things that we remember. But there are, now with that being said, there were obviously things, one of the things I like about old cartoons, old radio, and stuff like that, it's a good reason that I like it, but it's bad. Because it becomes a time capsule.
Yeah.
You cannot deny the thoughts of the culture at the time based upon what was produced. So how, I think Nels had brought this up while we were talking about this. Some of the characters that were put on Looney Tunes at the time, we can no longer watch. It was actually, they kind of canceled Pepe Le Pew.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Because Pepe Le Pew, it was a skunk that demand. He was basically he. But at the time, that level of misogyny was commonplace.
Yeah,
That kind of thing, and it was and it's unfortunate, but we didn't. I know as a kid, we didn't see it
right.
from the purview we see it now.
Right.
But the guy chasing someone around, the lady around the table.
Also being a terrible French stereotype.
Yeah, French stereotypes. And having your way, and yet Pepe Le Pew would hold on to the cat, and the cat would be trying to squirm away, and us never, making the connection.
Right. Because to the kid, it's always about perceiving the smell, not so much the unwanted, the unsolicited.
Right. Yeah, and that's so but that's one thing. What are things that
I mean, if we're talking about things we can't.
Speedy Gonzalez is another one.
Speedy Gonzalez, those are. Yeah. Although I feel like they've shown him in other shows. Like I've seen him in on other remakes of Looney Tunes.
Right,
like
the Looney Tunes show.
The Looney Tunes show, where obviously things are more tactfully done. Things like that.
It's a very much more of an adult-framed cartoon, but it's still palatable for kids.
They made Looney Tunes into a sitcom.
Yeah, but just in general, if you look at all of old television, old radio, old movies, these things are time capsules of what the thought of America was at the time, what the thought of the world was at the time. And if you look back at it, you'll see some consistent threads of things that are shameful.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that America doesn't have an institutional racism problem when Bugs Bunny's done blackface. So that's
true enough.
That's an objective thing that's happening.
Well, actually, it is I like that. It is complicated because while on one level, I have a coworker. I was talking about. Unfortunately, when you're African American in this country, you have dag nabbit moments, and
something that every black guy
a dag nabbit moment.
Well, no, because what happens?
Dag nabbit.
But no, seriously, because
the cops dag nabbit.
Well, yeah, to some degree it's true because what happens is when you trust something, you start to you'll be watching a film. And you're watching it and you're enjoying the film for what it is. And you may not see someone like yourself in the film. You don't see it, and then, you're watching a detective film and you this, that, and the other, and you're watching it. And then it's like, oh, wow, I'm enjoying myself. And then all of a sudden you hear the character, maybe it's a 1940s guy with a fedora, and he goes, hey, boy, come here.
And you're like, God.
And he's talking to an older black gentleman. And the guy comes in, and you go, oh, dag nabbit.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I was having a good old time. I was watching it. Now my humanity is being checked. Now my manhood, who I am as an individual, I got to see this again.
That is jarring.
And it happens. And it's happened. And it's sometimes people who are not on the side of it, but it happened with, many other cultures, like I believe even the Japanese culture. There was a radio show called Paladine. But there as a character, he was a cowboy. He was a cowboy detective. I'm going to say, and one of the characters that was like his underling, if you will. He was a Japanese guy. It was his name was Hey Boy.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
No, not oh Jesus. Hey boy. I thought there was some unclarity. But that's what it was. And so you would hear on the radio the sound of the most stereotypical sound, but you can also tell that it wasn't being done by a person of Japanese descent.
Lazy. Like if all stereotypical, that feels like you're trying to hit any demographic with naming someone or calling someone "Hey boy" seems like you're attacking everybody you can.
Yeah, but what it is that when you get closer to the source of, I guess you could say,
they were considered inferior at a point in time.
Yeah.
Just a man.
Yeah.
Right.
Boy.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what I mean.
But when you're,
I get what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, but when you're closer to that time period, people are no longer, like Jerry Lewis. One of his big things was to take sugar cubes or something like that and put it in his teeth and make himself look like buck teeth, and then do a fake Japanese accent. And it was, and this was this is a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a bit, and people would look at it when if you're closer to the hatred, you see it as being more of a precise rendition, and you don't look at it as being hateful or being mean or being racist. You look at it and go, oh my God, he's spot on. Wow, look at him. He's so clever.
Right,
the closer you are to it.
Right.
As we've moved further and further away, people in my era, different point, we didn't know certain things were, when I grew up in a time when you would watch television, offices had bars.
That's
in
hilarious.
them. If you watched old episodes of Bewitched, the owners of the advertising company said, "Come on, let's have a drink," and it'd be a morning drink, and they'd have an office bar.
That's very.
Office. You'd have a drink. And
I actually thought actual bars. Jesus Christ.
but
there are prisons in New
York. Like, wow.
But no, what I'm saying is, it was like they had a
work-life balance, right?
Yeah, but that was what it is. So in other words, alcoholism was winked at. Right. Let's have a drink to this. Let's drink to that.
Back in the day, alcoholism was hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's probably like the on and off again of.
Yeah. So what'd you say? Smoking cigarettes indoors.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
And I guess like the on and off of the abolitionist movement or stuff like that probably helped with all of the speakeasies within like franchise buildings. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, there's so many things. But so yeah. So if you ever question what America is, I suggest that you take a look at old 1930s, 1940s. Watch old cartoons.
If you ever want a nuanced understanding of how America works institutionally, watch Looney Tunes.
Yeah, honestly, because some things have been banned.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You can't see certain things anymore.
I mean, that was one of the biggest things they actually talked about a lot in Looney Tunes. They talked about things that were banned or things that weren't permitted anymore. And a lot of it was like what time to hunt. That happened all the time.
What was that?
Rabbit season or duck season. Like that was always banned. It was never rabbit season.
Wow. That took me a little bit. But
it was banned.
It was banned. Oh my gosh. But it was funny, they would also do the thing when you talk about blackface. When something would when something would explode, and you see the character, and their faces, and it would always be the blinking of the eyes, blink, blink, but it would be like their mouth would not be exploded. That was a hint, and why is that funny? He's like blackface, almost looks like
right.
You're right.
Living in America.
It's very funny.
So anyway, with this left turn, holy cow, we have 2 minutes left, guys.
Wow. Not as loony as we thought it was going to be.
That was very, very...
we got into it. I don't think we're going to get any free movie tickets to Looney Tunes.
But Warner Brothers, we really enjoyed it. We really did.
It is fun.
All right. Well, anyway...
Is there nothing that various fields can't find the seriousness in?
I don't want to say this is our time. I don't know where else to insert myself now. There was some other references I was going to make regarding the evolution of Looney Tunes, but I guess we have to do that on the next one.
Well,
right?
Do you guys want to just do a part 2?
You can do a part 2.
I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a part 2. We got about 28
about
seconds?
a minute and a half.
Oh, we got a minute and a half? All right. So we will take it in part 2. Give me some.
So I guess our takeaways for today is, nothing is sacred. Looney Tunes is perverted. But that was the reason why Bugs Bunny was actually so popular, because he's able to become like slapstick to serious to comical to right. But I guess you need all those elements to become relevant in America. So there you go.
Yes, there you go.
That's all, folks.
There you go.
Okay. We'll see you in the next various fields.
That's all she wrote.
Yeah.